somewhat kind of stupidly in play, just because like on FanDuel at 6,800. I think
he's 61 on
buys you
DK.
back combinations that nobody else on FanDuel can. I don't trust it at all. I don't think he's good at all. I've never been a Matt Boyd fan. He's been
and we had the where was Matt Boyd question last week, right? Oh, he was in Seattle for 13 innings.
That's right.
And the Tigers welcomed him back with a $10 million deal.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a guy I throw bats at, but yeah, I do think there's a weird little play there. We'll talk about it.
All right, Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Sunday. Doing a little traveling myself here, seeing some West Coast family. It's a good time. Joined by Terry McBride, as we get ready for a 10-game MLB slate today. We do have the NBA Live Before Lock coming up at 2 o'clock. Remember, the NBA tips off at 3 today. A very rousing 4-game slate. We had a nice one yesterday. I had a good little day there myself in the NBA streets. Not so much on the DK Rainmakers for MMA, but I did see the boss man himself, Alex Baker, took down $5,000 on the Rainmaker. I was in that contest. I think I finished 10th from last or something like that. I guess you get what you pay for when you sign up for Rainmakers, Terry.
Yeah, I guess that is the case. I haven't dabbled in those myself. I haven't really, I got soured on the old NFT based anything a little while back, but I know we've got some great partners out there that are doing some fun and secure and safe and well positioned and growing market stuff with NFT based contests. So I'll dabble at some point. I know I'll get into some of those and check them out on like So Rare or one of those. But yeah, that's it was an interesting day yesterday. Like we were talking about pre-show here. My Knicks managed to steal one on the road in Cleveland, so I was happy about that. That was the only NBA I watched. Was up at the Yankee game for the final few innings of the game yesterday. I tweeted about it. It's the new pace of play rules. Not exactly good for getting to the game 2 hours late. Doesn't really work anymore. So
did you make it in time for the 7th inning stretch?
That's like exactly when I got there. Yeah. Now I would have gotten there probably like 5th inning, but the D train just decided to sit at 34th Street for like 25 minutes for no good reason. It was one of those days like everything else was perfect. Like got out of the Uber, straight onto the path took off, straight out, got off the path. The D train was right there, got on the D train, like everything was perfect. And then the D just didn't move. So it was like a little bit frustrating, but caught the end of the game. It was fun. To put it in perspective, I saw Higashioka's homer on TV at home while I was changing my lineups because I had to make 20 minutes of lineup changes after lock. And then I saw Stanton's double live in the double that was called the home run live. So everything else, subway travel.
All right. Well, yeah, definitely fun, an adventure that is. But we're going to jump on in here. We are going to go through our 10 games and have a little bit of fun. So we do have a couple weather spots here. I don't think anything is going to get postponed. Our first game here is San Francisco at Detroit. It does look like it's going to be rainy and drizzly and decent enough they can play, although per a couple of our favorite DFS weathermen, they have flagged that as a potential early postponement. That first pitch, it's the first one of the slate. It's at 1:10. That's another hour away. Our next wave of games starts at 1:35 Eastern. So we're going to have additional information when we look at Cincinnati and then in Chicago. So it's definitely the Midwest that is carrying some precipitation risk today. We'll, of course, want to keep an eye on that Chicago game because Dylan Cease is pitching in that. He's going to be one of our top 3 pitchers. But bringing it back to the top here, Terry, we, of course, have some fun here with San Francisco and the Tigers. You've got Logan Webb ripped off, like a dozen strikeouts against your Yankees. And then kind of remembered, I forgot how to strike hitters out. So he tailed off just a little bit there. But the Motor City Kitties, they're a get-right spot. They're averaging about 3 runs a game, basically the worst in the league, right there with the Marlins. You've got Matt Boyd on the other side. We talked a little bit about him last week. Always had electric stuff as a lefty, but always hurt and tends to allow the long ball. I'm not particularly intrigued by him, but anybody going against the Tigers, they're in play. What do you got here for the San Francisco side of things?
Yeah, so I think Logan Webb is definitely very much in play on both sites. 9,600 is probably a fair price for me. Projects pretty well for me on FanDuel. And then he's at a broken price on DK for this matchup. 7,400 for that pitcher in this matchup. That is a bargain. There's a lot of those spots today on the DraftKings slate, especially. It's a really, really deep pitching slate. And they've got some of these guys at just stupid prices. So you can put together some really interesting combos on DK. FanDuel, there's a lot of really expensive pitchers. And then there's a lot of guys that are like, Aaron Nola, 9,700, Webb, 9,600, arguably a little bit of a discount compared to where some of the other guys are, like Cole and Cease, but those guys are definitely, slightly above. But looking at Webb, 17 innings so far this season, 31.4% strikeout rate. That's way, way up from the 20.7% that he put up over 192 in the third last year. But it's only like marginally up, 5% up from the or 5 percentage points up from the 26.5% we saw 2 years ago from him. So maybe he's found a little something with the strikeout rate. We'll keep an eye on that. But what he's very, very good at is keeping the ball down, limiting home run power. 1.40 home run rate last year, 1.51 the year before, -5 degree average launch angle in 21, 3.1 degree average launch angle last year. Just does not allow power, does not allow home runs. He gave up, I think, 2 so far this season. He's got technically a 5.71% home run rate, a couple blips with the hard hit, but we won't worry about that. We trust Logan Webb's ability to induce the ground balls. I love this spot for him. I do not want Tiger's bats. If you wanted to tell me you were going contrarian with Tiger's bats, focus on some of those lefties up top, but I don't love it. It's pretty thin against this pitcher. So definitely fire up the Logan Webb. I think you can definitely play Giants bats against Matthew Boyd here. We were talking about it a little bit pre-show, but Boyd is... I don't like this pitcher. This might be the one time all year that I say Boyd is maybe kind of sort of interesting, just given the premium prices for most of the pitchers, particularly on FanDuel. He's actually less interesting on DK because he's 61 over there, which is a good cheap price, but there's other guys at that tier that I like better. And then there's all these Logan Webb types at like 74. So you don't really need the savings there. At 68 on FanDuel, there might be just enough on the bone against a free swinging Giants team where that salary helps you pay for back combinations that you otherwise just cannot get to. I put Matthew Boyd together with a Braves and Guardians stack that I loved, just screwing around building, hand building my placeholder. You can't get to the combination that I got to with any other viable starter on this slate. There's just enough strikeout upside. It's really thin. It's going to go pop. They're going to hit home runs against him. He's going to put up a negative score and that lineup's going to be dead, but it's possible, right? It could get baseballed. He projects out okay for me. I do not like this pitcher. I do not like that play. Play Giants bats instead of him, but I kind of think it maybe sort of has a lane on FanDuel.
No, and that's something that we'll look at. And even if we look at the DK pitching projections that I pulled just about 10 minutes ago, so I don't know if we have another update. All lineups are in for the early game, so I'm sure we'll be getting one. But if we look at Logan Webb, he's 7,400, but he's only coming in at 8% popularity on DraftKings. That's crazy. I'm willing to put him up to 25. We're going to talk about Aaron Nola. We're going to talk about Miles Mikolas. Those guys are coming in with 3 times and 4 times the popularity. They've had rough starts. Nolan's gotten a bunch of strikeouts, but he's seemingly hittable at this point. Could be a little bit of unluckiness. Mikolas gets, I'm going to say that every different way possible. He gets a matchup against the Pirates, which is a good one, but he's been sort of doing a pinata impersonation this year. You've got Zach Gallen, and you've got Sandy Alcantara. Those guys are coming in at mid-teens. I think we can go 2x on them. So there's plenty of pitching option today. Then we haven't even talked about a cheap Mitch Keller, who suddenly has he got 15 pitches in his arsenal these days. He is suddenly
tough spot for Mitch though, against the Cards. Yes. That's a little tough. 7,000 is a good price. We'll get there. But a guy that you didn't mention in that mix that I do think is kind of interesting, although the other side of it projects really well for me as well, is Grayson Rodriguez at only 6,700 against the White Sox. The White Sox are projecting for a lot of power for me, but I think that pitcher at that price on DK against that team, there's definitely some strikeout upside. That's a good spot for a very cheap price. But yeah, I think Kyle Wright could give you a game at 7,200. Webb we mentioned. Michael is 6,300, is a contact-oriented pitcher who could definitely get burnt, but he's going up against a very bad Pittsburgh team, so I think he's in play at that price. Manoah at 76, Pablo Lopez even against the Yankees. There's a lot of strikeout upside for Pablo Lopez at 78, so I think there's a lot of bargain basement pricing on DK. I really like the way the DK price this slate out. Everybody's in play.
Yeah, so it just makes some of the things stand out. So finding differentiation is going to be absolutely key. This does not look like a day where your differentiation is, I'm going to get more than the chalk. The answer is no, come in a little under the chalk and find some differentiation elsewhere.
Yeah, we want to spread out
a lot of it. Yeah, most definitely. And this, we're kind of doing the combination live before lock strategy show here. So this is a reminder, just we get a lot of folks that can only really watch us on Sundays. So just a helpful reminder here that baseball, entirely different animal than the NBA, which is what we've kind of gotten used to. Hey, you guys want to get some free Stochastic Premium, and you can use the Stochastic Avatar program. You go to stochastic.com/avatar, and
brought to you by James Cameron.
Yes, we're looking at Avatar.
I didn't hear about
here.
That partnership.
It's very exciting.
I'm wearing blue.
I am wearing blue as well. This is going to be a good one. So, I see we have a little. That would be a family phone here. It's always nice.
It's James Cameron's lawyers telling us not to talk.
Pretty much. That was quick. I'll be very careful. There'll probably be an explosion here at some point if we go too much farther. But download that Stochastic Avatar from stochastic.com/avatar. Upload that to your DFS site of choice. Finish top 3. That is first, second, or third in the contest with over 5,000 people. You got to be first, second, or third. No ties. Literally 1, 2, 3. 3-way tie for first, no problem. 5-way tie for second, no, that's not top 3. So check that out. You'll get 30 days of Stochastic Premium if you meet the various parameters. And of course, you can send that screenshot over on Twitter to Stochastic HOF. That is part of the requirements. Do hit that like and subscribe button as we continue along here, and we're going to have a lot of fun throughout the remainder of the day. Anything else you want to talk about from this lone outpost early game?
No, I just pulled up the old traffic cams for the Detroit area. It looks overcast, ugly, but fairly clear. It doesn't look like it's raining yet. So keep an eye on the weather, but I think we'll be all right.
Okay, let's move on to get back to the run sheet to look at our next game here. We have the Twins at the Yankees. Pablo Lopez coming in there for the Twins. Tough ask for him going against the Yankees, but he's getting some respect. Just a 4.0 implied run total there for the Bronx Bombers. Garrett Cole on the other side has been phenomenal to start the season. This is no surprise. He is usually in the mix for the, what shall we say, for the
Cy Young Award.
That pesky award was escaping me. It's a minor one. It's one they kind of throw out. Yeah, everybody gets to take turns winning that one. But the thing you want to remember about Cole, he is up at an apex salary right now. It's okay. 10,900 on DK, 11.3 on FanDuel, 58 on Yahoo. Just roll with it. He's already up to a 3-0 record, 1.4 ERA, less than a base runner per inning, and 22 strikeouts in 19 innings. This is not against feeble competition. He did take on the Giants and Phillies in Yankee Stadium, and then had a nice game in Cleveland against the Guardians. The key thing to remember about Minnesota, they're missing a bunch of players right now. So Jorge Polanco, Alex Kirilloff, Joey Gallo, Kyle Farmer, those guys are all on the injured list. But we do have Brandon Buxton and Carlos Correa up at top, and Trevor Larnach, who is hitting out of his mind at the moment. I think that's no problem for Garrett Cole, but that would be the one potential blip. How are you feeling about Cole as your ace to build around today?
First off, I want to say I heard it too, chat. He definitely said Brandon Buxton. Going from there.
I'm glad I don't have chat up today, because chat, tomatoes. I shouldn't have said that. Just flame away. Just attack me. It's perfectly fine. I'm not going to see any of it, but knock yourself out. It happens,
dude. I was calling Julio Rodriguez Jorge Rodriguez last weekend, so I mean, it happened. Granted, that's because something put that name in front of my eyes, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, Garrett Cole, fantastic option. We just saw Dingerman strike out 10 of these Twins yesterday. I think Cole could be in line for a very, very nice game. He does have that, blip where he does typically give up a solo shot, a 2-run homer here and there. That hasn't happened to him yet this year. 0.0 on the old home run rate so far this year. 31% strikeout rate, a 3.18 xFIP. He is very much the Garrett Cole that he has always been. The numbers look exactly like they've looked for the past few seasons. No issues going to Cole at price. 10.9 on DK, 11.3 on FanDuel. Fine, load it up, get as much as you can. I like the Pablo Lopez shares. The 7,800 on DK, like I mentioned before, definitely a good price. This is a guy who's been a good pitcher over time. 23.6% strikeout rate, a 3.56 xFIP last year, 180 innings and 32 starts in Miami, 102 2/3 in 20 starts the year before, 27.5% strikeout rate, a 3.32 xFIP. He just kind of got overshadowed by Sandy Alcantara down there, but he's been very, very good. Pitches deep into games, kind of like Alcantara does a lot of the time. So I like the starter. I like the opportunity here against the Yankees, swing and miss. There's no Giancarlo Stanton in the lineup today. He got placed on the DL just a little while ago, or the IL rather. So we've got a weakened version of this Yankees lineup as well. This is the Yankees lineup that has leadoff Anthony Volpe, Aaron Judge, Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres, fine. DJ LeMahieu hitting fifth, fine. But then we go Willie Calhoun, Oswaldo Cabrera, Jose Trevino, and Aaron Hicks. That's a pretty weakened version of this Yankees lineup. So ding to the Yankees stack in terms of their quality. You do get a lot of price and popularity offsets with those players in the back end. And like Willie Calhoun is a post hype prospect at this point. But at one time in his life, he was considered one of the best hitting prospects in all of baseball. He's the dead minimum hitting 6 as a lefty in Yankee Stadium today. You can squeeze a little juice out of that if you want to. He's not totally terrible. Oswaldo Cabrera, capable enough hitter. But the bottom of that lineup leaves a lot to be desired. And Pablo Lopez could have a nice sneaky game here. I would play him a little bit at 9,800 on FanDuel. I don't think necessarily that's a mistake. It's a high price. I wish he was cheaper, but I don't think it's a total mistake. He could have that game for us today. 7,800 on DK. I would be mashing that again and again, like Baby Yoda hitting the yes button.
All right. I would think that Aaron Hicks coming in at 1/3 the salary of Aaron Judge is appropriate, but is Willie Calhoun really 3 times less of a hitter than Aaron Judge? God, 2K flat there on DK.
Yes, he is.
Okay. Just
making
Aaron
sure. Judge?
Well, I'm seeing if we say Aaron Judge enough, we're going to get Gundacker to appear in chat.
I mean,
so this is the call sign.
Talking about one of the best hitters in baseball for the last 6 years or 7 years.
Does he have any power though? Come on. Oh, yeah, of course he does. All right. Anything else from this particular matchup here?
Yeah, so I didn't mean to ding the Yanks too much there. You can still go to Yankee stacks here, of course, especially on the top end. Volpe, Judge, Rizzo, Torres, and DJ are all fine. And then, like we said, we've got some salary and popularity offsets. You can similarly go to the top end of the Twins lineup if you wanted to. I'm not really going to do it against Cole, but there's some cheap bats up there. Edward Julian, Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton, Trevor Larnach, Jose Miranda. I would probably cut it off at Miranda, and it's very low end. So like really limited shares, but you'd be attacking the field on Cole. You'd be attacking probably pretty popular pitcher, but it's pretty thin. Odds are they're going to strike out, and the only offense they create will come on like a solo shot by Buxton or somebody if that happens. Actually, it would probably be by like Max Kepler or Michael A. Taylor or somebody like that, just somebody dumber. But yeah, I think there's definitely all 4 corners viability, but more upside on the pitching.
All right, I'm posting chat up just for a sec because I am going to drop in the link to the Spotlight Pitchers and Top Stacks articles in there. You guys can check that out. That's what I will be referring to, and I have now corrected the Byron Buxton. Yeah. Come on, it was 5:30 out here on the West Coast. Coffee hadn't quite kicked in when I was writing this article. Eyes were still a little blurry, so my apologies for that. But hey, I'll refund you guys your subscription for that article series out there. All righty, let's continue along here. We've got another great one here. I'd like to congratulate the Cleveland Guardians for being able to celebrate Patrick Corbin Day today. Patrick Corbin allowed the most home runs in the league, dating back to the last two seasons and change. And while there are a few others who are close, those guys all have 80 to 100 more innings pitched, and they're typically the pitchers that challenge hitters, the Garrett Coles, the Max Scherzers, etc. of the world. Patrick Corbin, challenging hitters, not so much. He definitely kind of stays around the strike zone, and it's just going to be a bit of a problem here. So everybody is going to be thrilled to go after the Guardians today. I think the obvious, of course, is going to be Jose Ramirez, former National, Josh Bell. Those guys do a little bit better against righties, but they're switch hitters, so they're going to have the platoon advantage all game. Let's see, where did Oscar Gonzalez all the way up to 5th in the lineup? Yeah. That's a stellar one. We got Gabriel Arias is there. He is 2,100 on DK. He's batting second, which of course means that Ahmed Rosario is getting the day off. You also have Mike Zunino. We know him well in DFS worlds, like tower power against pitchers against either side of the plate if he makes contact. However, Corbin's the type of pitcher that he should make contact with.
Yep.
Why are the Guardians the most amazing stack on the slate today?
This is a team that I love getting to in quite a bit. They are just really good. They string together a bunch of good, mid-range power bats plus Jose Ramirez in the middle of that lineup. Everybody in the lineup has either one or no home runs this year, but that's not going to last, right? This team's going to hit more home runs than this. We know it. We've seen it. They also have a lot of hit tool capability, a lot of on-base acumen, a lot of speed, and they run aggressively. So this is a really good team for DFS. They're a great team for sequencing against a pitcher who gives up this much contact. Like, even if they don't take Corbin deep, I like them to put up a pretty big score here. There's just too many capable hitters. There's way too much contact available. And there are too many guys in this lineup that are just impossible to strike out. Steven Kwan at the top of the lineup, like, he doesn't hit from much power. I think he had 6 home runs last year. 6 home runs, a 101 ISO last year. He's got a .066 ISO so far this year and no home runs, but he steals. And what I love about Kwan is he's just always putting the ball in play. 9.4% strikeout rate last year, 9.5 this year. Jose Ramirez, 7.0% strikeout rate this year, 12% last year. To get a power hitter like Jose Ramirez, who strikes out only 12% of the time, that's absurd. It's him and Juan Soto that are like the only two guys that can do that. They are both outrageously good players. So get to Ramirez. I like Josh Bell quite a bit. Josh Bell for 2,300 on FanDuel. That's a broken price for a guy who hit 27 home runs 2 years ago. 3,600 is very cheap for him on DK, but the FanDuel price is absolutely broken. So get some cleanup Josh Bell as a one-off on FanDuel if you want to. He's popular, but he's half the popularity of Jose Ramirez ahead of him, 36% versus 18% on the FanDuel slate, 15.8% on DK, 27.1 for Ramirez. So the Guardians will be popular, but I like this lineup basically up and down. No, Ahmed Rosario sucks. I've another player I like a lot, but you mentioned Zunino. Love Mike Zunino. He had a better barrel rate, best barrel rate in baseball among hitters who had more than 350 plate appearances year before last, like 2 percentage points better than Shohei Ohtani. I think it was like 20 plus percent. It was like 23, 25, something like that. Just an insane barrel rate. The guy just destroys the baseball when he makes contact. So don't skip Zunino, especially where you need catchers. I don't really like anything about the Nationals, and I love the spot for Shane Bieber.
That hurts for my adopted hometown team there, or my new hometown team, the Nationals. It's okay. Flags fly forever.
I like your hometown team from the state that you're definitely not in right now.
Yes, the Tampa Bay Rays. They're my new adopted team as I head down to Florida.
Congratulations, by the way.
It's going to be a good time. Let's continue. Yes, it's going to be glorious. How are you feeling about the Beebs going against the Nationals here? Whenever you've got a lineup with the heart of the order, Heimer Candelario, Joey Meneses, and Luis Garcia. No, not that Luis Garcia or the other Luis Garcia, but this Luis Garcia batting fifth. Yikes. Stone Garrett looks like he's up for good from the minors. Lane Thomas has an occasional moment, but Dom Smith, really? Yikes. This is just strikeouts up and down this lineup and lack of power.
Yeah, there's major upside for Shane Bieber in this spot. He's actually projecting as my top pitcher today in my model. Really like the spot. He's made 3 starts this year, 19 innings pitched. The strikeout rate is down. Oddly, it's only at 19.2% so far this season, 25% over 200 innings last year, 33.1% over 96 and 2/3 before he got hurt the year before. So I expect that to bounce back. I didn't really see anything like, overly noteworthy in terms of problems or anything like that. And he's been good. 4.05 xFIP is fine. A 2.37 ERA is great. Hasn't given up a homer. 0.95 WHIP. 12.4% induced swinging strike rate so far. That's down a little from the 13.8 last year. Definitely down from the 16.2 from 2 years ago. He might not go back over 30% overall for his, in his career, but I do expect him to be around that 25 to 28% range, in terms of the long term for this season. So definitely a big get right spot here against the weak hitting Nationals. Plenty of strikeouts, like you said. Really like the spot. Bit of a discount from the Garrett Coles and Dylan Ceases of the world at 10-7 on FanDuel, 10-1 on DK, and not drawing the ownership that he should in this matchup. Single digit ownership for Shane Bieber against this Nationals team. I don't get it. I think he should be more popular than he is. It's a deep slate, but he is one of the better spots. Do you have any concerns about Bieber here? Is there anything I'm missing?
None whatsoever. To me, it's a little bit shocking that he fell so low. I mean, yeah, he's given up a few runs in his games thus far on the season. Let's see, he's made 3 starts. He's given up 5 total runs, but 3 of them, they came against Oakland, but he blanked Seattle for 6 innings. And
I mean, it's, there's the hard hit is up a little bit. The strikeouts are down a little bit, but it's 3 games, 19 innings. Like, I feel like that's just, stuff that'll come out in the wash.
Yeah, so I expect his strikeouts to tick up back to where we're used to seeing them, and today would be the perfect time to see that happen. So I'm completely comfortable with making sure you get Bieber and certainly go above 8% on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'll have well more than that on FanDuel.
All righty, let's look at our next one here because we got to keep cruising along. The Angels and Red Sox. Reed Detmers, good pitcher, does have some strikeout stuff. This is not the Bo Sox we are used to seeing. You can find a lot of their better hitters over there in the National League West. But it's the Red Sox. They're solid. Garrett Whitlock on the other side, returning from some sort of hip issue. So he is still getting his sea legs. He is someone that's okay, but I don't want to tangle with the Angels, particularly when you've got a healthy Mike Trout to start out the season. You've got Shohei Ohtani. You've got Hunter Renfroe with his light tower power. This isn't the deepest of lineups. Somehow Logan O'Hoppe, is it O'Hoppe or O'Hoppe? Regardless, he has the magical ability to hit home runs suddenly. That's going to disappear quickly, but for the time being, he's projecting out as a top 5 catcher already this season for what has transpired this season. Yeah. So his results have him as a top 5 catcher. Projections, well, he's going to come back to earth.
Look, but he had a well-regarded contact profile in the minors coming into the major leagues. The output so far is kind of a surprise with 4 home runs. And he was on a minor hit streak, I believe, as well there. Not sure if that's still going on, but he's got a 19.2% barrel rate and a 46.2% hard hit. There's some reality there probably in the contact profile. We'll see how it extends. It's 43 plate appearances. We don't want to sign this kid to a $200 million contract right here, but I've got some interest at 4,200 on DK as a catcher. I think there's some upside there for him against Whitlock here. And I kind of like this lineup. I don't love Gio Urshela, but he hit a grand slam yesterday and has those odd games from time to time. He's more of a glove man. I think Luis Rengifo is a more interesting bat in that lineup at the bottom end. Brandon Drury is definitely a more interesting bat. You get multi-position eligibility for cheap on all 3 of those guys on DK and on FanDuel for cheap, all in the 25 to 2,700 range. And that's before you even get to the good players in this lineup. They've got Zach Neto leading off. Zach Neto was called up yesterday. He is the first member of the 2022 draft class to get called up to the show. He just absolutely raked since they drafted him in the first round last year. Now he's leading off for the Angels ahead of Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Anthony Rendon, and Hunter Renfroe. And he costs the dead minimum on DraftKings at shortstop, and he's only pulling 10.6% ownership. This is a kid with a really, really good bat. He's a rookie making his, what will be his 5th plate appearance. He went 0 for 4 in his debut yesterday. Get some of him in your lineups, especially if you're stacking Angels. Trout, Ohtani, I don't need to tell anybody to play. Your guy, Anthony Rendon, sitting at 4.4% ownership at 4,100 on the DK slate, 2.4% for 2,800, cleaning up for this team. That's a mistake. This guy is too good a bat when he's healthy, and in the lineup, he should be rostered more than that at these prices, 4,100, 2,800, way too cheap. He doesn't have any home runs on the season, but he's got a 113 WRC plus, which means he's 13% better than average so far creating runs. He served a suspension, so it's 35 plate appearances, slashing 280, 429, 280. Get some Rendon into your Angel stacks. Do not skip him. Hunter Renfroe, more power than most people in the league. Equal power so far this season to Trout and Ohtani. You'll love getting Renfroe in your lineups where you can. I'm not saying he's Trout and Ohtani, but he's not owned like it. He's not priced like it. So get to Hunter Renfroe as well. Like the Angels a lot here.
How are you feeling about Boston on the other side? We have seen Reed Detmers throw a no-hitter early in his career. Strikeouts kind of just weren't there. He ended up getting, after the no-hitter, what did he have, like two or three walks and 2 strikeouts in that no-hitter, something absurd like that, because, hey, baseball. He got sent down to the minors for one start, struck out double digits, came back up, and suddenly he was a strikeout pitcher. Hopefully as expected, which is what he profiled as in the minors initially. he is someone there's going to be a learning curve, right? Lefties going against major league hitters, that's always a challenge, but he does have the talent to get there. This doesn't feel like a slate where we are going to look to him, but do you have anything you want to call out with Detmers versus Boston or vice versa?
No, it's a spot I don't really love either side of. I'm not really into this Red Sox lineup very much. Verdugo, Turner, and Devers are all excellent, and you can obviously go to that as like a 3-man. But Rob Refsnyder hitting third regularly for this team is completely bonkers. As a career journeyman, I have no idea what the hell the Red Sox are doing with this guy hitting third. It's just stupid. Enrique Hernandez, Christian Arroyo, Connor Wong, Yu Chang at the bottom with Masataka Yoshida stuck in the middle of those guys. If you want to go there, if you're a big Boston fan, have at it. It's Patriots Day tomorrow. Enjoy. Not a spot that I love, but I also don't really like Reed Detmers as a starter. 22.6% strikeout rate is fine. 4.20 xFIP, 3.77 ERA last year. Decent numbers. I just think he's around the league average type pitcher, and I think there's just enough in that Red Sox lineup, particularly around the top with Verdugo, Turner, and Devers up there, that I don't necessarily need to roster him on such a deep pitching slate. It's not like he comes at a big discount. 8,600 on DK, 94 on FanDuel. I just don't think I need him. He projects okay. I might get to a couple shares as I do the sort here, but he's not a target for me. He's not a guy I'm going out of my way for here. So don't really love either side of that. And Whitlock, I didn't really talk about very much. I like Whitlock a little bit at the $6,200 price. I just think there's enough strikeout upside. If he gives us 5 clean innings and half a dozen strikeouts on DK, I'm pretty happy with that at 6,200. And if they get the win, so much the better.
Let's continue moving along here. Another fun one I want to remind everybody of, promo code SCORE. That is the word SCORE, as in he shoots, he scores. No S, just SCORE. 50% off any sport, platinum, weekly, or monthly. Check it out. You can see all the details in the description below us here in the YouTube article, or pardon me, the YouTube page, but you get everything Stokastic has to offer: player ownership, lineup generator, the lineup builder, the boom bust tool, leverage scores, and of course our amazing projections. This is for first-time users only, but check that out. You definitely want to get behind the paywall. And then quickly, for those of you that are in New Jersey, Colorado, Ohio, or Virginia, you can get $200 in bonus bets at Bet365. All you got to do is go through the link that is below us here in the YouTube description. Click on that if you're in New Jersey, Colorado, Ohio, or Virginia. Bet $1. That's it. Bet $1. Don't have to win. Just bet that dollar, and you get $200 in bonus bets back from Bet365. Remember, the legal age in gambling for most states is 21. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Moving
So all
along,
you got to do is make a Duke Brothers size bet, huh? $1.
That's it. $1. $1. The usual, Mortimer. Okay. All right. The Tampa Bay Rays fell off the wagon, did not create the modern record of 14
losing streak
wins.
now.
They're on a losing streak. They had tied the record of 13 wins. That was with the 87 Braves and the 82 Milwaukee Brewers, if I remember correctly. That could be vice versa, but those were the years of the teams. Today we've got Shane McClanahan. Tough spot going against Toronto here. I would probably forego all sides of this one. You could talk me into a couple Tampa Bay Rays hitters against Alek Manoah, who doesn't quite seem to have the velocity, location, and strikeout stuff that we saw from him last year. That should recover at some point, but Tampa Bay Rays, pretty good offense. It was a nice combination of offense and pitching that got them there, and scheduling, of course, for their win streak, but they're not really an offense to be trifled with here. I think this is kind of a stay away other than a smattering of Rays bats. How are you reading this game?
See, that's interesting to me because that's how the slate is seeing this game. And that is the most likely scenario here that, these pitchers pitch good games, keep the offenses down, but don't really post slate winning scores. But when I see a situation like this with all 4 corners being things that I'm interested in a vacuum, the Rays lineup, the Blue Jays lineup, Shane McClanahan, Alek Manoah, matched up against one another in a situation where nobody's really going to this. We've got single digit ownership across the board here, except for Brendan Lau on DK is at 14%, 13% on FanDuel. Outside of him, everybody's single digit ownership here. I think you can get away with it here in like a get over the field sense. I don't think you need to go crazy with rostering Rays and Blue Jays and Manoah and McClanahan like they're the best plays on the slate. But any one of these four corners could certainly give you a slate winning score in any given situation against any pitcher, against any hitters. So I like this game for a target specifically because it's so good, because it's so well matched, and because it's so low owned. So I'll be going to shares of McClanahan here against the Blue Jays. I think there's enough upside. 30.9% strikeout rate this year in 3 starts, 30.3% last year in 166 and a third over 28, 27.3% the year before that in 123 and a third. There's strikeout reliability there, even against this Blue Jays team. Manoah's been clunky to start this season, but I trusted his hard hit rate last year, his ability to keep the ball in the yard last year, the year before that, 31.2% hard hit in 21, 31.5% hard hit in 2022, decent strikeout rates those years. It's been bad so far this season, but he cost 7,600 on DK. You can definitely play Alek Manoah against these Rays. They're a great hitting ball club. They're patient. They put the ball in play like crazy. They've got power. They've been excellent to start the season, but Manoah is a good enough pitcher to get through this game. For that price, he doesn't have to give you a absolute ceiling score either. That's a good enough price. 99 on FanDuel, it's a little bit thinner. And then you can play the same game, flipping it with the lineups. You can absolutely expect upside from these lineups against these pitchers. So I think this one plays on all four corners above the field. But again, not saying, go out there and roster 25% Alek Manoah or something crazy like that. You don't need much to be over the 1.3% at 7,600 on DK.
All right. Continuing along here. We're now at a game, Terry, that has a lot that needs to be discussed.
Unlike these other ones about which I've said nothing.
Yeah, Diamondbacks, Marlins. Sandy Alcantara coming off the Cy Young Award gets a nice matchup here against the Diamondbacks. Zach Gallen on the other side, no K in his name, plenty of K in his game. He gets a pretty good matchup here against the Marlins. This to me looks, neither pitcher is picking up a tremendous amount of popularity here. This feels to me like these guys are solid SP2s. I don't see enough excitement to look to leverage against either of these hurlers. So for me, it's just pitching from this one. But do you want to call out anything in particular from this duo?
So Sandy is, struggling out of the gate this year, 18 2/3 over 3 starts, 14.5% strikeout rate, 5.79 ERA, 4.71 on the old XFIP there.
I snookered somebody in my dynasty league.
Oh, that's what I was going to get to, right? You got a lot of flack for trading him to me. You got Brandon Lau for him in the second round as a long-term keeper, who's going to be the best second baseman in that league because it's an OPS league, not an average league. And you got Anthony Rendon in the last round as a long-term keeper who could have some nice bounce back value. So I still really like that trade for you. And, I've talked about it before on shows, and I talked about it in my article today. Alcantara was really good and won the Cy Young on the back of 228 2/3 innings pitched in 32 starts last year. He was very good in those innings, but he isn't an apex predator on the mound. He has 23.4% strikeout rate last year, 24% over 205 2/3 the year before. That's a little bit above league average. It's not Garrett Cole. It's not one of these guys. So he got by on being really good, limiting opportunities, cutting down guys when they did get on base. So he's a very good pitcher, but he's not necessarily that like premium ace. So this is a show me start a little bit for Sandy here. 10-3 on both sites. I definitely think he's in play because the ownership is very low. There's plenty of strikeouts in that Diamondbacks lineup, but they're also a little bit better than advertised. They've got some talent in this lineup. It's not the best version of this lineup though, which I think helps the Alcantara side. So I'll get to Sandy over the field. Only 8% on the FanDuel slate is definitely interesting here. Zach Gallen, definitely interesting, especially at price. 8,000 on DK, 8,900 on FanDuel. This is too good a pitcher to be priced like that against this Marlins team. They've got, two really good bats in Jazz Chisholm and Jorge Soler with his power, plus Luis Arias and his ridiculous hit tool. He's hitting for a little bit of power, driving the ball a little bit this year. But beyond that, they're just like, replacement level type veterans, Avi Garcia, Gene Segura, Jacob Stallings. Zach Allen can carve this lineup up. He's a 29.2% strikeout rate over 3 this year, 26.9 last year. Nice clean innings. Not a lot of power to speak of. Really like the spot for both of these pitchers.
All right, we made up some nice time right there. We're gonna make up a little bit more here because of course
this slate doesn't start till 10 after.
10 after, and then there's a nice 20-minute buffer or 25-minute buffer between the next wave of games. But
this one probably have a ton of lineups to fix. Actually, no, we had most of it.
We have all
we
the
had
lineups.
everybody in. Yeah, that's true. The only change I had to make was I had Ryan O'Hearn in the Baltimore projected, and he's not playing, and Terran Vavra is.
No idea who that is, so I'm not too worried about fixing my lineups. We've got the Philadelphia Phillies in Cincinnati in the Great American Ballpark taking on the Reds. Aaron Nola giving up a lot of runs so far this season, a little bit of unluckiness, okay with the strikeouts. He is a viable option, but there's no leverage really for going to him. If you have trust in the long-term track record of Nola, then he is definitely an SP2 you can look to. On the other side, Luis Cessa looking pretty bad. 7% strikeout rate so far this season, an 11.8 expected ERA. No bueno all the way around. Even without Rhys Hoskins and Bryce Harper, you still have a pretty good lineup here from the Phillies. They're one of our more popular stacks today. Take us through this game in the Great American Ballpark.
Yeah, Philly justifiably popular. Just looks great in this matchup against this pitcher in this ballpark. So cue the Luis Cessa, perfect game with 12 strikeouts or whatever nonsense baseball throws at us. But yeah, he doesn't only look bad, he is bad. This is not a good pitcher. You mentioned 7% strikeout rate, a 4.65% home run rate so far, 60% hard hit, 14.3% barrels. This is in 9 innings. So let's look at last year when he threw 80 2/3, 4.17% home run rate, 42.9% hard hits, a 9.3% barrel rate allowed, a 4.29 X. But this is a guy you can throw bats at all day long. And like you said, even without those stars, Philly is still really good from top to bottom. Bryson Stott's a really capable guy in the leadoff role, 129 WRC plus so far this season. Gets on ahead of Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Nicky Castellanos. Castellanos, people, forgot how good he is because he had a down season last year. 2 years ago, 309, 362, 576 with a 140 WRC plus and 34 home runs his last year in Cincinnati. This year so far, he has no home runs, but he's leading the league in doubles. He's got a 121 WRC plus. Nicky Castellanos is back, so get him in your lineups. Brandon Marsh, excellent play, mid-range pricing, mid-range popularity. JT Realmuto, best catcher in baseball from an offensive standpoint. Playable on FanDuel where you don't need catchers at 2,700, but he's 25% owned. I'd probably rather go to Marsh at 10.6% if I'm trying to fill a FanDuel util spot than go to the popular Realmuto. Alec Bohm, another player who is probably underpriced at 4,200, 3,400, owned in the single digits on FanDuel, 10% on DK, 333, 419, 537 with 3 homers to start this year. Last year, 283, 15, 398 with 13 homers. First round draft pick coming into his own for Philly here. They're going to be really scary when Bryce Harper comes back early next month. Really like the spot for Philly outside of their popularity, but I think you can deal with it. Like the bottom, outside of the top 3 hitters, everybody's in, the 10 to 12 range. I don't mind that at all. So definitely enthusiastic about Philly. Not nearly as much about anything on the Red side of things. I'll get to a bunch of Aaron Nola here against this Reds team.
I'm looking at potential leverage options here against Nola, and it really doesn't look appealing. The 3 lefties at the top could give you a little bit of power, and then pick your poison with India, Will Myers, Spencer Steer kind of. But what I love for Nola, and sorry to cut you off like that, what I love for Nola, though, is the 5 through 9 run of right-handed hitters and then going back around to India at the top. So you get, 6 right-handed hitters in a row for, several stretches through that lineup. Sorry, take it. Go back. Yeah, no, it falls off quickly, and that's a good way of framing it. I mean, you had Will Myers with 2 home runs yesterday. We're just only 2 home runs so far of the season. Don't expect that again. Jonathan India is coming at a $5,400 premium price. As long as he stays away from various lower leg and soft tissue injuries this year, he's going to be a good guy, but it's tough to trust him against Nola. So then we're looking at the lefties. It makes it very, very difficult, which makes sense that nobody is really getting over 2% popularity. Most of the people are coming in around 1%, but a lot of times we look at these popular pictures here, especially someone who's struggling just a little bit, or at least seems hittable, even with all the strikeouts in Nola. And you want to say, okay, well, if things don't go his way in this hitter's paradise, what are we, who's going to get there? And you're like, how many guys do I got to get right and hope they have good games today? Oh, wow. Joey Votto, where have you gone?
That's it. Any of TJ Friedl, Jake Fraley, Jason Vossler, those lefties, yeah, maybe they hit a home run against Nola here, but what are the odds that all three of them are going to have monster games? And then you're picking your poison of righties from Spencer Steer, Nick Senzel, Kevin Newman, Luke Molly. India is a good player. I'll give him that. He's a good leadoff man here. So, maybe you get some production out of him. I actually do like Will Myers long-term in this ballpark for home games for Cincinnati all year long. I think he'll be underpriced and under-owned. So I like that power upside that he showed us yesterday and getting 2 home runs, but not against Aaron Nola. That's just not the spot where you go to the Cincinnati Reds. Like Aaron Nola is Aaron Nola. I fully trust Aaron Nola to find his form. And unless he's hiding an injury or something like that, he'll be fine. This is a good bounce back spot for Nola. I don't need Reds.
Okay, let's continue here. I lost my place, but that reminds me to tell everybody hit the like button. We got like 700 people watching on a Sunday. Nice. Thank you. That is very, very cool. About 100
Can't all just be here early for the NBA playoff show later on.
I know. It's as much as people want to
in baseball.
Yeah, well, they want to queue up for that. That's coming at 2:00. You're going to get NBA Live before lock for the 4-game slate today. But yeah, hit the like button here. This is a lot of fun. This helps us keep continuing to provide free content for all of you. And then I want to remind everybody, we do have the new Odd Shopper show over there on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. That's every weekday at 4:00. If you're into betting, then you can see how Lofty, Ben, Greg, Lindy, Aton, etc. Use the premium tools, both Odd Shopper, Bet Pro, and a variety of other strategies to find those elusive plus expected value wagers and show you how to navigate a tricky spot in sports wagering. These casinos, these sports books, they know what they're doing, but we're little fish. If you're savvy, they can't cover all of the bases, especially when it comes to player props in baseball. So we can find some spots where they're willing to give up a little bit of an advantage. And if your per unit bet is in that $10, $20 range, you're not going to have to worry about getting limited. So it's a lot of fun. Check out the Odd Shop 4:00 Monday through Friday on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel.
We got a looks like a delayed start in the Detroit game.
Okay. Mostly
tarp on the field, multiple rain cells, but probably okay.
Expected. Are you bailing? Are you willing to ride? Where would you go with this?
No, we haven't gotten burnt by weather yet this year. We're riding with it until we do. That's usually how it goes. Yeah, I feel like this one plays. Maybe a ding to the pitchers, but with the delayed start, you usually like that better than the start and stop. So we're probably okay. Webb was going to be part of my plans. Boyd, a minor part. I don't think we lose much if you cut it out completely. Like you wouldn't necessarily be making a mistake because there's not a ton to love about that game outside of probably Logan Webb. But I think I'm sticking with it for what I was getting to anyway.
All right. This is where we always want to just quickly look because San Francisco and the Dodgers. Well, they're going to play again. San Francisco and Detroit. Let's see. This is the last game in the series of the Detroit side of things with our balanced schedule. Excuse me. I bet if I look at the second half of the season here, I'm going to find these teams meeting up again at some point. Detroit. No, they are not. Unless I misspelled Detroit. So it looks like this is the only time they're playing. Now, that does make things a little bit complicated when you look at potential makeup days. This is early enough in the day. They could still try to get it in. They could make it up on unique off day, or if each of these teams has an off day.
There's probably like a day where, Detroit's in Oakland or something like that with a day off afterward that they could swing through San Francisco.
Yes, and that's also why they built out that little boost of an extra day around the All-Star break. They were talking about that potentially being a makeup day for games such as this. So will they try to get it in? Probably. It would make the most sense. Is there an immediate and easy pivot to a makeup game? No, there's not. So as long as the weather is not horrible, they may as well try to get this one in today.
I think if I'm understanding it correctly from what I'm just breezing through in our Discord with News Guide, it looks like there's a couple cells behind the one that they're currently delayed for. So if the delay lasts for too long, then they might get caught by the ones behind it is kind of the concern. But it seems like there's a window where they'll be able to pull the tarps and play a quick one. And let's go pace of play.
Absolutely. So I am going to look and see how much Logan Webb I currently have and decide if that is reasonable. I am looking at 25%. The field is at 8%. I was making a stand here. I think I'm going to continue to do so. Why not? We're going to let this one ride.
Like I said, if they were starting and there was rain coming at them and it was like, ooh, by the third inning, they're probably going to delay for 45 minutes and then they've got a window, I'd be more concerned about that than about the delayed start, because the delayed start, presumably he's going to get in, five innings before the rain comes, and then we'll see what happens. So I don't hate it.
Yeah, and so I'm still probably, let's see, am I going to get into any more contests? I may still make enough lineups to get him down to 20%, but I'm still going to be more than double the field. I'm okay with that. It's baseball. You have to learn to embrace the variance. If I lose him to a rainout, guess what? It's just so I may lose some other pitcher getting their ass kicked with negative points because they get shelled, right? You have to think of it like that. Move on to the next day. We've got almost 180 days of baseball. Here we have certainly about 230 playable slates with all the split slate days where you get at least 5 or more games. So this, just accept it as part of the risk and move on. That has been my philosophy. We'll see, because like Terry said, we haven't been burned yet. Get burned a couple times, you start singing a different tune and you justify it in a different manner. So just, feel what, or play what makes the most sense with your risk tolerance. All right, we've got to regroup here back on, let's see, I believe we left, or we were heading over towards the Orioles and White Sox. You've got Dylan Cease, also a potential weather game here. Not quite as much risk would appear here in Chicago with the Orioles in town. Grayson Rodriguez on the other side, talented youngster there for the Orioles. You've got, I don't know, I guess a neutral lineup here with the White Sox. They have a couple key bats are either injured or no longer with the team, such as Jose Abreu. I don't think there's a need to go to Grayson Rodriguez today. You certainly could on the, I believe this is the 2 o'clock sub slate as well, but I don't feel a need to go there in the main slate. I did a little mini stack with about 3% of my teams going against Cease for some leverage here, but that's really it. Just some 3-mans. What do you got in our Baltimore, the batters of Birdland against the White Sox here?
So another really interesting game on kind of an all 4 corners perspective for me. And again, it's another spot where like this just isn't drawing the ownership that I think it should in terms of the quality of these bats. Certainly with the White Sox, I'm seeing a bunch of power upside for the White Sox, especially in the top 4 hitters: Luis Robert, Andrew Vaughn, Gavin Sheets, and Eloy Jimenez, plus Jake Berger, Oscar Colas in that lineup. It really drops off 7, 8, 9 with Seby Zavala, Lennon Sosa, and Elvis Andrus. But the top 6 in that lineup, and particularly the top 4, is pretty damn good. And they're all owned in the single digits. And they're very affordable in a matchup against the top prospect in all of baseball on the mound. Grayson Rodriguez, very, very good young pitcher, but making his 3rd start of his career, and, has not been perfect through his first couple starts, right? A 3.48 xFIP is very good, but he's given up some runs, 6.75 on the ERA, 25.6% strikeout rate. Very, very, very nice to start your career, but an 11.6% walk rate. So there's definitely been a couple bumps along the way. So I'll get to some White Sox here. I'll definitely have some Grayson Rodriguez too, especially 6,700 on DK, only 6% owned. There are, enough strikeouts in the White Sox lineup. There's a few guys that are pushing, like mid 20s to upwards to 30% strikeout rates across over time here. So I definitely think there's upside for case for Rodriguez, but I don't think he's safe. So I'll take both sides of that one. I really like Dylan Cease in basically all scenarios: 34.8% strikeouts over his first 3 this year, 30% last year, 31% the year before, and basically 32% if we're rounding up. Really like him. He's getting a little popularity on FanDuel at 9.1% because he's 11-1. He's priced down on DK kind of inexplicably at 9,200. I think that is a smash spot. 25% ownership that he's pulling is probably still too low. But at the same time, I really like this young Orioles team. I've been going to them constantly through the first part of the season, and they've been paying off. And I think they're going to do so all year long. This is an excellent young team. You get Cedric Mullins, who was 30-30 2 years ago, 16-34 last year, off to a decent start in the home run and steals department. Everything else needs to come around, but he'll get there. Adley Rutschman, second best offensive catcher in baseball, if not the best behind JT Realmuto. Ryan Mountcastle, one of the best hitting first basemen in all of baseball. Tons of power in that bat. Anthony Santander, is very, very good on as a switch hitter. Adam Frazier is why I got lost there, because I was expecting to see Austin Hayes' name. He's hitting 6th. Austin Hayes is out to a great start this year. He's kind of a post type guy. He's had 2 good major league seasons, 16 homers last year, 22 the year before, but he's really come on in the early part of this season. And he was a really highly regarded bat on the way up. And like I said, has been a productive major leaguer already, but if he's taking another leap in, I think his age 27 season, that could be another deadly bat in this lineup. Gunnar Henderson, premium rookie, top prospect in baseball for them. Jorge Mateo out to a killer start to his season. He's got a 275 ISO and he's getting on base at a 413 clip. Dude stole 35 bases with a 267 on base percentage last year. 7 steals already this year. Love Jorge Mateo.
Yeah, he's someone that if you didn't already get him on your waivers, he's long gone in any league that's competitive. But if you're in some casual leagues still, go take a look, see if he's there, see if Jared Kelenic is there from the Mariners. He looks to be a delayed post type sleeper. As
and if Mateo's not there, grab that Neto kid from the Angels, because he's probably there.
Yeah.
He didn't get scooped too much.
Yeah, there's quite a few options out there that you guys can check out. Let's continue moving along here. We are going to make it. We got 10 minutes here, slightly less than 10 minutes till lock. Plenty. Oh, hey, it's a 110 lock. I'm sorry. Oh, and they delayed. We'll have to see. Maybe they don't quite lock the contests.
Oh, that's true.
Let's not play that little dance. But if you're worried about it, you basically have no game starting till 1:35, because this rain delay is going to take it past 1:35. Looking at our last couple of games here, you've got the Braves at the Royals. Kyle Wright, don't know what to do with him. Zach Greinke, did the deal with the Devil get a player option that was picked up? Because now Zach Greinke has a K in his name, no K in his game. He's got Ks in his game suddenly as he rounds the corner and heads towards 40. What the hell's going on with Greinke here? He's always someone that just keeps everybody off balance enough that he never really implodes. He keeps his ERA somehow around 4, doesn't get a ton of strikeouts. That fastball and changeup that have a 2-mile-an-hour differential. Somehow he survives on that. I don't know what to. I don't want to play Greinke, but he's not the gimme stack against, even when you're looking at a team like the Braves.
Are you looking at?
For what?
Zach Greinke. He struck out 3, 4, and 4 in his first 3 starts.
I thought I read he had
7% strikeout rate.
I thought he had 15 strikeout. Oh, I must have.
No, 15.7% strikeout rate.
No,
he's still the pincushion pushover. Punch him in the face, little bounce back, inflatable clown, punch him again. That's Zach Greinke. Throw Atlanta bats at Zach Greinke aggressively. Stack Atlanta as much as you possibly can against this pitcher.
I don't know about the stacking, Terry. I don't know. The strikeouts, I was wrong. So you're right. I thought it was 15 on the season, not 15%. Look at his ERAs over the last 5-6 years.
Look at his xFIP.
How the hell is he? There are going to be some outliers here. Okay.
3.31 ERA this year, 4.25 xFIP. 3.68 ERA this last year, 4.54 xFIP. 4.16 ERA the year before that, 4.21 xFIP. No, you're not selling me. Zach Greinke is a target for bats. Throw Atlanta stacks at this guy.
Okay. That we dare to differ.
Ronald Acuna Jr., Matt Olson,
I dare to differ
Riley,
here.
Sean Murphy, Eddie Rosario, Ozzie Albies, rookie Vaughn Grissom for 3,200, 2,800 with multi-position on FanDuel at both infield spots. Sam Hilliard, who I've been touting since he came back up the other day. It was a very significant power prospect in Colorado. 348, 464, 609 with a 261 ISO and a home run at the bottom of the lineup. Chadwick Trump, you can skip at the bottom of the lineup. He's in the lineup today. But Sean Murphy's also in the lineup in the DH role, I assume. So you can get the catcher from Sean Murphy there. He's 8.8% owned on FanDuel, 11% on DK. There's not enough ownership on the Braves in this spot. I honestly don't understand it. DK, you are behind the curve on the Braves here. FanDuel, you're at least getting to Acuna and Austin Riley, but you're leaving Matt Olson and Sean Murphy on the table, according to these numbers. Don't get it at all. I will have more Braves than most people, apparently.
All right. Well, more than me. Definitely more than me. This is what makes baseball fun. This is
and
totally
I'm not
right.
Look, you could definitely be right. It's
I was just going to say that, Terry. Even if if Greinke throws a 2-hitter over 7 innings, or even if the Braves score 7 on Greinke, neither one of us is really right. There's not enough of a sample size, so it's hard to do. Well, it's easy to do.
You can't victory lap one
baseball.
game in baseball. I mean, it's just it just can't. It's not fair to even attempt to do that when it comes to being right or wrong in baseball. It just doesn't work that way.
All righty.
But in this spot, I'm right, EMac's wrong.
Yeah. Okay, last game here, and then we're gonna do bonus. We're gonna do a bonus afternoon slate because I want to call out some similar Zach Greinke stuff that I wrote up in my article today.
Awesome.
Pirates at Cardinals. Mitch Keller, he of the 10,000 pitches. Literally, he has 10,000 different pitch types. You've got Miles Mikolas there. I think he is a Zach Greinke type. I would rather go against Mikolas than I would Greinke. This one kind of a stay away a little bit. Keller, we don't have to get to today. You can play him on the 2-game late slate, but tough matchup going against the Redbirds. I made sure I had 10% in my main slate stacks, but that's all the farther I'm going with this one. What do you have in our final main slate contest?
Mitch Keller's been one of those guys for years that we're all chasing it. He came into last year with all this hype about, his off-season regimen and these new exercises and how good he was throwing. And then, came out 20.1% strikeout rate, had a bunch of clunkers to start the season and kind of rescued his year on the back half. But overall 3.99 xFIP, a 3.91 ERA, a 1.40 whip. He just never actually puts it together. Even this year, 17 2/3 in 3 starts. He's got a great 29.3% strikeout rate. That's the guy we've been waiting for, but he's still got a 10.7% walk rate, 3.57 on the ERA, 3.61 on the xFIP. That's about, even. Is a 4% home run rate allowed, 20% hard hit with 82.9 mile an hour average exit velo. That doesn't make sense together, those numbers. So everything about Mitch Keller is completely inexplicable at all times. He could go out and shut down the Cards and give you a great start for 7,000 on DK. It's a lot thinner for 9,000 on the FanDuel slate. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm probably not going there on FanDuel. I would have some shares on DK, but I probably wouldn't get too aggressive about it. Not against the St. Louis team that I really, really respect and is fairly difficult to strike out with a lot of veteran quality, ton of power throughout the lineup. So not really a play for me, but I'm going to keep my eye on Mitch throughout the season, kind of like I have for the last 5-6 years with this guy. So yeah, a little bit more interest, I think, maybe in the soft tossing contact oriented Miles Mikolas going up against this weak Pirates lineup for 6,300, like we talked about at the top of the show. I think that's a interesting discount play on the DK slate. He's getting ownership for it, 26%. That's probably about right. So you're not fooling anybody. You're not getting away with anything. But I think there is still probably enough on the bone with you need to be competitive with the bats that salary can buy you. So value-based pitcher, he's definitely on the board there in that matchup. And I don't really like going to the Pirates even against him. If you are, Brian Hayes, maybe. Brian Reynolds, Andrew McCutchen, Carlos Santana, certainly. Canaan Smith and Jigba, I like a lot, actually. His just, general contact profile and his upside long-term. I don't know if he's there yet. I don't know if he's fully cooked, but at 2,300, 2,200, you can take some shots. Sawinski, Rodolfo Castro would be other playable names in that lineup.
All righty. So that takes us through the main slate. Terry, who is your main slate home run call of the day? Mine is Mike Zunino.
Ooh, I like that one a lot. I took in my article Luis Robert Jr., actually, who ended up in the leadoff role. So I liked it even better after I saw the lineup.
All righty. Let's talk real quick here on the late slate. 4-game late slate one today. That's going off in the 4:00 hour. Of course, we have these. I'm going to drop the link in chat. Have these written up in the Spotlight Pitchers and Top Stacks article here. This one, I think the clear play is to take the Metropolitans, the New York Mets, that is, in their matchup. If we look at pitchers to target, a lot of people are going to be going to Darvish and Urias. I think that's perfectly fine. They, of course, do have more name recognition than Luis Castillo, who is going for the Mariners. Those would be your top 3 options. My hope is that a lot of gamers and surprisingly touts still look at some of these weather sites and don't realize that there is a roof in Seattle. It's a carport roof. So yes, it's still cold. It's still windy. But the weather is not, it's not going to get rained out. They've had the carport there since what, 97 or whenever they opened up this stadium. This is nothing new, yet every year people get tripped up on it. You also see people get tripped up on the fact that Texas is now Arlington Field, not the ballpark at Arlington. And it is a covered stadium as well. So you knew that Texas had a
I knew it was, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't know the name was different.
Yeah, they tweaked it just a little. It's like it's still Arlington. I think it's the fields at Arlington or Arlington Field instead of the ballpark at Arlington. But so there's your pitching takes. The hitting takes gets a little bit interesting. I said obviously the Mets are the ones to go to. People are going to look at Drew Smyly and Wade Miley, and they're going to look at them and go, oh, we're going to attack against these guys. I want to point out that it's very, very important to remember Drew Smyly, dating back to the 2020 seasons, that's 60 appearances. He has allowed more than 4 runs. So that means 5 or more runs 9 times. That's in just 15% of his starts. 15% of his starts.
Same so yes, amount of times as Ferris Bueller was absent from high school.
Pretty close.
That was just
pretty close. We've got so I'm just saying that could be a little bit of a trap to go for full stacks. You can say the same thing about Wade Miley. In his last 45 appearances, he has allowed 5 or more runs only 7 times. That's just over 15% of the time. I want to remind you guys that can really destroy your stacks. These guys do a reasonable job of keeping the bases clean or keeping people moving along and getting ground ball outs, while they do allow fly balls and home runs from time to time. More often than not, it appears to happen when the bases are empty. That makes very poor scoring stacks. So if you're looking for inherent leverage, pick 1 or 2 guys from each side. Now, the obvious ones for the Padres are going to be Manny Machado and Nelson Cruz up at the top. But for the Dodgers, you could go to Chris Taylor, you could go to Trace Thompson. They're going to be at the bottom of the order. You're looking for home runs, you're looking for extra base hits, and maybe you luck out with one of those with somebody on base. That's going to be just as good as a Mookie Betts, 2 doubles, and a run with nobody on base, right? So these are the ways you want to find some differentiation on the shorter slates. But that's what I want to call out. And that's a similar story that you can find with Zach Greinke. Not quite as stark, but still similar. I'd rather attack Greinke than either of these two, however. There we go, Terry.
I'm not going to give it to you.
And I'm not going to back off. That's why I got the last word there. Who's got the mic?
Was it the last word? Was it really the last word?
We'll see. We'll see. Mike, we may be on for a while. You may have to keep us on until the NBA show us on.
We can all hang out and just watch the Braves game, right?
Yes. Well, I've got a skedaddle. We're going to go see some family friends here this morning. So I've got to do a little bit of that, but I wanted to thank everybody for being here today. Again, we have the Bet365 offer. That is for those of you in New Jersey, Colorado, Ohio, or Virginia. Bet $1, get $200 in bonus bets at Bet365. We also have the promo code SCORE. That is for any first-time user of Stochastic. You can get 50% off any platinum, any weekly, platinum, any monthly or weekly package. You can also get it off any sport, any monthly or weekly package. It's 50% off for new users, whatever you sign up for. Fantasy Cruncher is a separate add-on for that. Bet Pro is also a separate add-on, but you still get the boom bust tool, the leverage tools, the projections, player projections, ownership projections, lineup generator, lineup builder, all the good stuff, access to the Discord. So you get plenty of stuff for that 50% discount. What terrifies you the most, Terry, before we sign off today? Oh,
yeah, let's take the super chat. Oh boy, that is really super close for me. I would go Nola still on trust, but that is really, really close.
I would go with Zach Gallen.
Okay.
Because I don't trust Nola, and you don't have to worry about weather. You've got the better ballpark and a scuffling Marlins lineup. Yeah, I really think it's a coin flip. This is one of those. There is not a wrong answer here, so you have to think about it. If you roll with Gallen, and you're going to be pissed if Nola does well, then maybe Nola's who you want to ride with, or vice versa.
Yeah.
If one is going to get your dander up.
FanDuel projections.
I'm sorry, I talked over you.
It's within 1.5 in my FanDuel projections, and don't apologize to me for cutting me off while I'm cutting you off.
It's like the baton. We just keep handing it.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter who's talking. We're all talking.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, that was a really good question. That's a very close one. I don't think you go wrong necessarily with either one. Nola probably is in the more dangerous situation in terms of the ballpark, the potential of that team. But we talked about all those righties, all those low-end righties, and the opportunity for him to plow through that lineup a few times. So I think I still like the Nolas. Very close.
All right. With that, we're going to get on out of here. Thank you to producer Mike for running things behind the scenes. Thank you to Terry. You can find him at DigitalBeat21 over there on Twitter. You can find me at EMac DFS. And of course, it is stochastic_COM. With that, gamers, good luck. And don't forget, 2 o'clock, NBA Live Before Lock. There you go. That's 365. That's my fist bump.